Welcome back.
Welcome back yet again. So I guess we'll explain again that when we rejoined, I was dead.
Yeah, and then we got kicked again.
Yeah,
I
we
don't really
started
know.
recording and then immediately got kicked. So we're kind of trying again.
Real weird.
The land is loading very, very slowly.
I think there might be something else going on the server other than this. So,
Oops.
so I have been doing Sky Factory, a lot of it, and I think that it's way better balanced than 3 was. Like it doesn't have the stupid chickens.
Yeah, I mean, 3 was definitely... 3, immediately you could go OP if you went the chicken route.
I mean, how you could fly in like 5 minutes just with loot bags.
That's true.
You got the damn
That's
bat
true.
wing.
They did, if I recall, change that, but we were still playing on a version that had that as a loot option.
I see. Yeah, but yeah, either way, the chickens, you were like, all right, we're done. We made the chickens. Game over.
And?
But so far, I mean, I've put a lot of hours into Sky Factory 4. Like I've been streaming 8 hours a day since it came out, and it came out 8 days ago. So I've probably put, I don't know, I've put over 24 hours into it for sure. Like all my stream hasn't just been Sky Factory, but I've definitely I put a lot of hours in compared to like what we did, and I don't feel like I'm at a point where it's like, all right, I'm just done now. And this got that prestige system where you have to get these points in order to unlock certain mods and stuff. So yeah, I think that's something you and I should probably check out at some point.
How does it work with multiplayer for this prestige system or whatnot?
See, I'm not sure. I don't know if you have shared prestige points between both of you. So like we unlock a thing and now we get 1 point. Because that would be what would make the most sense. Because we don't want to both get a point and us both unlock different things. Because that would make it progress too fast.
But at the same time, I don't want to be stuck on, like, you're on go chop that tree down duty while you're earning prestige because of the fact that you're doing the things that are earning the prestige.
Right. Yeah, I don't actually know. I don't know how multiplayer prestige works. That's something we'd have to just look into.
And when you say it unlocks something, it unlocks the next tier?
No, so like for instance, when you start off the game, a lot of the early resources come from the trees in bonsai pots.
Okay.
The little bonsai trees, and whenever you first start out, the bonsai tree, you can't like place it on a hopper, and the recipe to make the bonsai pot that has a hopper attached to it is locked behind the first prestige point. So you have to complete the whole first page of the advancements in order to get your first prestige point, and then you unlock this hopper bonsai.
Do you have to choose what you're unlocking?
Yeah. Well, the first one you can't choose. The first one, it is that starts off the thing. But after that, it unlocks in every direction, so you could choose what you unlock next.
Okay.
Like vein miner is one of the things that you could unlock, and it costs 1 point. But then there's stuff like the portal gun mod. It's like 6 points or something like that. So there's just these other mod packs altogether that you choose how you want to progress the mod. Like there's like the mob farming tools, like the machines that help with mob farming. Like, do you want to unlock that next? If so, then it's like 4 points or something. So like the direction you take to progress the pack. But then meanwhile, there still is the other pages of advancements and achievements to get you other prestige points, to then decide like how you want to go, basically. And the prestige, at least in single player, it persists. Like if you start another world, you still have the same points. One of the prestige things is like 6 points, and it gives you some bag when you start the world that makes the early progression a lot easier. So like if once you've played the mod pack for a while and you've unlocked, like this is just single player, you've unlocked this thing, you could start a new world and automatically be moving a lot faster early on. So yeah, I don't know. It's a different. I haven't played a mod pack that's designed that way before now, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. You still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm looking at. Okay. Oh, this isn't the wall. I was like, something looks wrong with this edge, but it's because this edge is supposed to be the wall. And so you're dealing with prestige. So there's no quests that you're trying
No,
to do.
There's not like a quest book, but there is advancements. Like, and it's the same as a quest book. Like, make this bonsai tree, make that bonsai tree, and then after you complete the whole page of these bonsai trees, you've unlocked your prestige point or whatever. So there are like pages, kind of like the quest book, but you remember the old quest book? You like had to check them off if you wanted to even.
Well, yeah, but there's clearly been many quest books since then,
right?
That you don't have to check off. The whole checking off one, that was like, that kind of ruined the quest book for me, in my opinion, for Feed the Beast, for Sky Factory 3.
Yeah. It wasn't very well done. That quest book. But yeah, then since then there's been these mod packs that have the quest book and like Divine Journey or whatever we've done, where it's like that. This is not that kind of thing. It's more like in fact, it looks exactly like the Minecraft achievement page, whenever you do achievements in vanilla.
Oh, interesting. So lots of hours down. How many more hours do you think you got in your single player world?
I have no idea. Like, I feel like it could be a ton if you try to complete everything and do all the prestige stuff. Like, I feel like it could take a very long time.
How long did you end up playing Age of Engineering for?
Oh God, hundreds of hours. A lot. Divine Journey. I mean, we finally finished Divine Journey.
So people will get to see that last episode in 2022.
Yeah, basically, it's December 2021 is when it comes out.
December of 2021. Merry Christmas, December 2021. You'll finally get to see what happens.
Yeah. But I've never played a mod pack like that before. That was the most insane, ridiculously hard progression line I've ever seen in any mod pack.
Good or bad? Why? You were trying to convince me to play it, and I was watching some of your streams, and I thought it looked entertaining, and then I realized that, like, I would never, ever, ever, ever have time to do that.
When we first started, I didn't know what we had done got ourselves into, and it got to a point where, like, there was the final blocks that we made. We were recording like, you know, two sessions a week. So basically we would play for like 10 hours every week, and it took a month for one of the blocks. And that's with like 4 people working on it.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was insane. And that's with the server running while we're not there. Like, there was resources being collected that we desperately needed. We would get on, and like in that time, a lot of times by the time the end of that, like those hours, we would run out of things to do because we used up all the resources that had gathered since we'd played last, and needed more resources in order to move forward. So yeah, I've never seen a mod pack like it. It was borderline not fun, honestly.
Huh. So, how far down the quote-unquote prestige line are you thus far in?
I've gotten 1 point.
You've gotten 1 point.
Yeah.
And you've played how many hours?
A lot. But I don't think it's like Divine Journey. I really don't. Because
you've gotten 1 point?
I haven't been yeah, but I haven't been focused on completing the pages to get more points. Do you have any extra bricks?
Excuse me, some, not many.
A ton.
I mean,
that's more than I need.
A handful of stacks, but I mean, we're going through like, you know, we're more than a stack as one layer down.
Right. I'm just trying to complete this redstone here, so I need to be able to do the lips. But yeah, I don't feel like Sky Factory is like that. I think it's like I haven't been focused on, like, well, for one thing, Amethyst gave 100 gift subs, and I put every sub on a sign wall. It took me 3 hours to write every one of their damn names. So, there's that too. I don't like. I looked at the statistics earlier today, and I've like placed 400 signs.
Damn it.
So I think that's a big part of it too. Is sign placement is taking up some of my time.
That should be in a procurement. Wait, what do you call it? Prestige point.
Yeah.
Place 400 signs.
So I don't know. I'm probably playing it a little bit differently. Plus, I like decided that I had done one thing like in a way that I didn't like it, and so I spent like all day yesterday redoing something that I didn't really have to do. So I don't know. I think it depends on how you play it. And if there was 2 players too, like I think it would go pretty fast. Some of the early stuff, I don't know how great it would be YouTube content wise, because you're just kind of grinding resources as you know, as these mod packs are.
I mean, yeah, we definitely can't do something that might not make good YouTube content because our content on our video quality content is just riveting. People would never ever watch us just for the commentary.
Yeah, I think we'd probably be fine.
Now the question is, how are we going to get more redstone?
I just went back home and got a whole bunch out of our chests.
Oh, okay. But we're going to need more than that, right? How many layers tall, I guess, do we plan on making this thing?
A
bugga?
That's how many.
Okay, so I do have a 2-year-old, so let me...
you know.
Oh, my fucking God. Today, man, I will tell you, he has a problem with listening.
As some 2-year-olds do.
As 2-year-olds do. But to the point where it's gotten dangerous, and we've been trying to teach him, like, because he's been running away from me on the sidewalk because he thinks it's hilarious to go running down the sidewalk. And he runs in front of, like, driveways or alley entrances, and, you know, I have to run and grab him and stop him, and, you know, he thinks it's funny, and then he gets all upset when I'm mad at him and telling him that what he did was wrong. And today we went to the park, and man, he would start running in front of me, and I'd be like, slow down, Jack, and he'd slow down, and I was like, okay, he's learning, he's getting there. And for some reason on the way back from the park, he was freaking out when we were crossing one of the streets, and he wouldn't hold my hand when I told him we have to stop at crosswalks. Hold my hand, we will look for cars, we walk across the street together, and then you can like go on your own on the sidewalk, and when we come to the next thing, you got to wait for mommy or daddy to hold our hands and go across. For some reason, like the very last sidewalk the crosswalk that we had to go across, he did not want to hold my hand. And he has this bad thing, whereas if he doesn't do something that he wants to do, like he often wants to open our gate when we come into the house. He wants to be the one to lift the lever and push the gate open. And if you come in, he will start freaking out. If you do it, he will then go back out, shut the gate so he can open it up.
I remember my daughter doing shit like that.
So
like, I'm going to show you what we do.
So here's the problem: is literally I dragged him basically across the street because he was trying to pull away from me. He didn't want to hold my hand going across the street for some reason. I was like, look, now we're across the street. Now you can be on your own and be on the sidewalk. And the second I let him go, he turned and ran back across the street.
Oh no!
Happens to be a street that has no stop signs.
Oh no!
And luckily there was absolutely no cars coming. Right. For one, I was smart enough to make sure before I let him go, because I kind of had this feeling that he was like, because he was upset, to make sure before I let him go. But I didn't think he was really just going to run. I mean, he ran straight across the street, like all the way across the street.
Christ!
I mean, and to the point where, and a guy rightfully so, there was another person going into a house right there that was basically lecturing me on how dangerous of an intersection that is, and I'm like, I understand, like, I don't know what to do right now, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
I don't know what to do, and it's really bad because my wife and I, like, some of the biggest arguments that we have lately are we have different philosophies on parenting, especially when it comes to discipline. She's more of a free range, don't like discipline type of parent, because that's the new discipline. All the new research apparently shows timeouts are bad and all this weird stuff, which, as far as I understand, it doesn't really show that. It shows that it could be the wrong approach, but nobody knows definitively yet. But she doesn't want to do any timeouts or anything like that. So we constantly have like these, arguments about our disciplinary approaches to what to do. But of course, she's the mom, so she's going to win, because I really can't win those battles and arguments. And I got so mad the other day because one of my biggest arguments is that she always wants me to read these books, or she sends me this research all the time that isn't even like definitive. It's just this new article that comes from somewhere that says something about, basically it fits her line of disciplining. And I will send her like one back that says basically my line of disciplining and why that's, okay and the way to be. I just fell into the ocean. And she gets mad that I won't read books on what we should do for discipline. And I'm just like, look, I'm a parent. I have a feeling of the things that I would like to try that I think would be the right approach, like based on my knowledge and experience from the past, as well as my personal feelings about, the way we go. Why is that not acceptable? Why does it have to come from a book? The other day, she literally sent me this thing there's somebody speaking about child discipline around where we are at one of like the children's bookstores or something like that. On tomorrow, I think, actually. And she sends me, she's like, we should go to this and see what this lady has to say. And I read this information so hard because I didn't know what to do without exploding. And I just wrote her back because she just sent me an email when I was at work. And I wrote her back and I was like, why the hell do I need to go listen to somebody without any credentials, no medical background, no development background, who happens to have a published book? Why does that make her any more informed than myself as a parent and the things that I know? Like, this is, I'm so mad because since this person has a published book, she must be no better.
Right. She doesn't have any reason that her information is better.
Absolutely no reason why her information is better.
Put her book on the shelf.
Yeah, it's basically like she had an experience as a mother, and therefore this is her experience. So it's like an opinion piece. Right.
Yeah. No.
Drives me.
Now imagine if you were divorced.
Drives me. Oh God. Even worse. But then I get into the problems like today, and I get upset about, today, and I'm just like, what? Like, he has no control. And I think it's because he has no discipline that's been instilled in him at all yet, because there's no discipline that can be instilled.
So what is the disciplinary action for what he did today?
Today I told him, when we came home, because he always likes to watch videos and stuff, and I told him numerous times, because he kept asking if he could watch videos, and I said, no, absolutely not. You did not listen to what Daddy was saying. You did something that you are not supposed to do, and I know that he knows what he did wrong, because even when Julia was at home at the time, and when she got home, and I was like, Jack, why don't you tell Mommy what you did today? And the first thing he said was, I was on the sidewalk. And I said, were you really on the sidewalk? Because he knew what I was getting at. He knew he was not where he was supposed to be, like that he ran across the road. And he was trying to justify it in his head that, he was on the sidewalk. He didn't do anything wrong. So he knows better.
Right.
So all night, I did not let him watch videos. I didn't let him do anything except for... we got bed, it was like 6:30, and I said, that's it. I said, go upstairs, we're taking a bath, and you're going to bed early. And I didn't actually put him to bed early. I did give him a bath early, which he cried and got upset with, and he didn't want to take his bath. He knew he was in trouble.
Yeah.
But there was no real discipline that came from it. It also is hard because we weren't home yet, so it's hard to instill the discipline after you then walk another, 10 minutes on the street or whatever.
Right.
So, because it's still got to be relevant.
Right. Can't yell at the dog and not rub his nose in the shit.
Yeah, something like that. That would be
something like
God.
That.
That would be if I rubbed his nose and shit.
You should just throw him in front of a car. That'll teach you.
It's like when they catch kids smoking and they make them smoke the whole pack. It's like oh, you want to run in the street? Here's what it's gonna feel like. I don't even know how to deal with like that shit. Just scares me in general, because it's just any kid, no matter how disciplined they are, can still have a lapse and do something stupid and run in the. Because I am very afraid. We live in DC, it's a very busy area. If he's walking on the street with a toy and he drops it and it rolls into the street, he's going to be going straight after that toy because he's not going to be paying attention to his surroundings.
Right.
Like,
I think you have to always be holding their hands. I mean, at that age, I always held my daughter's hand anywhere, like any parking lot, on a sidewalk, in a city. Like, I mean, at this point now, like whenever we're at Disney or whatever, around the park, I don't hold her hand, or like even at like the state fair, I don't hold her hand. But I mean, whenever she was that age, it was always a hand holding
and that's what I wonder now is like, is it to the point where he's too freely willing to explore and potentially disobedient that he cannot be without being like this is where I become an advocate all of a sudden in my life for those child leashes.
I mean, if it comes down to that, that's the only thing that works, then sure. I mean, I always silently judge those parents.
I think everybody does. Everybody judges those parents, but all of a sudden, maybe I can do it more inconspicuously, and it can be one of those new type of leashes that have like the 40-foot range that's retractable, like the dog ones. Maybe people wouldn't see it if he was walking right in front of me, and I can give him a little bit of freedom when nobody's looking, and I'm like just yank him back in.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that, like, even at her age now, she's 7 years old. If we're near a street or parking lot or anything like that, like, she doesn't like it, but she gets over it because, I mean, I've just
because you don't want her to die.
Yeah, exactly. She still complains about it though. She's like, I don't need you to hold my hand. I'm like, well, but we're gonna.
Like that's all there is to it though. It's.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know how to deal with that because it's it's like the scariest thing in the world, but you can't keep the kid like cooped up all the time.
No, but I think I think in your case, like living in DC or near, I was surprised you said you let him have free reign on the sidewalks just because there's so many damn cars.
I mean,
but
yeah.
But that said, like whenever we were in DC this last time, and there was a lot of arguments that happened because Renee would not let Zion walk on the sidewalks without holding her hand, and I was letting my daughter walk without holding my hand, like her hand, or my hand. And so Renee's daughter was like freaking out, like, why does she get to walk without holding hands? She's like, well, maybe whenever you're her age, because they're a year apart. But I don't know. I think Renee's just more scared of things than I am, because I know my daughter's not gonna run to the street anymore at the age of 7.
Right.
But I still make her like walk on the left side of me, and me like on the traffic side, and she not on the traffic side. If that makes sense.
Yes, I understand. So if a car came over barreling over the curb, it's you getting hit first.
Yeah. At least I die first. Yeah. But yeah, like there was definitely arguments in. I didn't know what to do because like I kind of wanted to just make my daughter hold my hand just to make it to simplify the issue. So it was like, well, okay, just hold my hand. That way she'll be cool and everyone just be cool. Bitch, be cool.
You just have to hold each other's hands.
That is what we did at one point. I was just like, hey, why don't you hold her hand and everyone hold hands like together, whatever. But then those same people move around. Yeah. So I don't know. It's yeah. But I do remember, like, he's only 3 now, right?
He's not even. He's 2 in like
God no. I
handful
wouldn't
of months.
know. She didn't move outside of my house without holding my hand.
He's such a. I don't say more mature, meaning like, oh, look, he's so much more mature. Like, he's more, almost like, his skills are more developed than the average, like, 2-year-old. He acts more like, and what he does, the way he, sentence structure, the way he does things. Like, we were at the park today, when we were at the park before this incident happened, there was a little girl that came running up to me because we had a couple balls that we had brought with him. We had a soccer ball and like a little ball we were kicking around the field. And we went to slide and he wanted to play with it. And this little girl literally came up to me and she like waddled up and she was like, ball, ball, ball. It's like all she said. And I was like, yeah, you can play with this ball. Like, well, while you're here. And she just took it and was like, yeah, ball. And I was like, oh, look at this little girl. And her mom was sitting there and her mom said something like, oh, how old's your son? Is he like 3? And I was like, no, he's 2. And she's like, oh, did he she's close to 3 though, right? And I'm like, no, you just turned 2 in like February. And she goes, oh yeah, my daughter's almost 3. She'll be 3 next month. And I was like, oh god, like, thinking, because your daughter's acting like she's like Jack did when he was like 18 months, you know. But it's not really because she was necessarily behind. Jack is pretty advanced for the things that he's doing right now. So he's not your average 2-year-old, quote unquote, in his stuff. You could pretend he's more like a 3-year-old for now.
Where's some of your blocks?
Oh, I don't have that many. I have to go put some more in the furnaces up there.
I thought you just went and got them.
I went and got
many that's already cooked. There's like 10 chests full
of cooked stone. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know why I forgot that. Here, you can take these. I'll go back and get the rest of them. Then hold on, I got 2 more. That's the end.
That's the end.
That's the end. Besides, I got 10 in my hand that I'll drop, and then that's the end. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, and I like him to be independent.
Yeah. I agree with that. I wanted always. But yeah, not where you could die.
Right, and the thing is, he's so hard to rein in now because he wants to do everything by himself that I'm trying to teach him when he does things by himself how to do them appropriately. And it's like, I feel like we make such progress in one front. Because like I said, when we were going there, he actually, for the, slowed down. I told him to slow down, stopped and waited for me. It was just on the way home. I don't know if he's getting tired or if he just doesn't seem to care, or if it's the fact that he doesn't feel like there's any consequences to things that he does. Because I do feel like that's a big part of
it's probably
the problem in general.
Things, really. That's honestly, I guess that was where one of the places where I got lucky, where like Crystal was overly worried about things, and so there was always discipline, because these things will save your life. If you don't listen to us, you could die, sort of thing. And she was more worried about all kinds of stuff. So like, honestly, my daughter's gotten way more free reign since we've divorced, at least so in my household, because I'm not like, again, like she probably wouldn't have been okay with her walking in DC without holding my hand constantly, even at her age now. So but yeah, I do want her to have independence and to be her own person and stuff. So I don't know, but so like, but in terms of like coming to an agreement as 2 parents, it was always pretty easy, because like there was, I don't know, like it was on me to not argue, not like, basically you sound like you have the opposite.
Yeah, I have the problem where I want to be able to do what some would consider slightly harsher disciplines, and I don't even consider them that harsh, like timeouts,
Yeah, there was always timeouts,
which our pediatrician is completely for. That's why I find it funny, and I'm always like, Julia, you're yelling at me to read these people's books and listen to the professionals, and our pediatrician is telling us that this is what we should be doing.
Right. I thought everyone, basically, I thought the thing that you didn't do anymore is beat the child, but I thought everyone did the...
Nope. Timeouts are falling out of favor. They're thinking that it's causing bad discipline for putting kids in timeout.
What is it?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes 0 sense to me. I was gonna give you more blocks, but you fell down. Here, I'll just come down and put them in the chest.
Need to make repeaters. Yeah, I was just curious, like, what specifically is it encouraging the child to do? I guess
be bad or something. I don't know.
Be bad or something.
I don't have any
little assholes.
Any idea. Well, it is kind of interesting too, because there is some things that, like when it comes to potty training, you are not supposed to try to force it, because if you try to force it, it makes the kid like adverse to training, apparently.
Right.
I think it's until it gets to a certain age, like it's like up until they're 3 or something like that. You're not supposed to try to force them, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna take your diaper off and just throw you on the toilet, and like no matter how much you cry, this is how you will learn." And that has been like taken away as something that shouldn't be done. So like the times have definitely changed in And Julia's texting me while we're having this conversation because she can hear everything I'm saying.
Oh Lord,
pediatricians are not child development experts when it comes to mental and emotional development compared to child psychologists or educators.
Please, we should change the subject. We're in a damn doghouse just for making a damn episode. I do remember with potty training. Like it was one of those things where we tried to like help her and stuff, but then it really just came to the point where she just did it. Basically,
and that's what most people say ends up happening. And a lot of the people who feel like the parents who do some rash intervention and it like works thereafter, they're like, had they just waited 2 weeks, it would have worked anyway. Like
right.
Because most kids, it'll just happen when it happens, and that's really all there is to it. And I don't know the development behind that because I know my mom is very concerned that we don't. She was just here for a couple of weeks, and she seems very concerned that there's not more pushy potty training happening. And I'm trying to explain to her that you're not really supposed to push it on kids, and she doesn't believe in that philosophy really either.
She's probably raised X number of kids, and this is how it was done, Jeff.
Right. I mean. So
that's the problem with grandparents. This is how it's done, and you're all right, and therefore this was right.
Well, but then the ironic thing about that is if this research does turn out to be like more fruitful, like what is it gonna be? Like when my kids have kids, is it gonna be that timeouts were the comparative to spanking, whereas it was like I can't believe people did that obscene type of thing called a timeout, like. That is like,
well, then where does discipline go?
I don't know.
There is just free reign for because that can't be. You can't go to that extreme where the child is now the parent and is in charge. Like that doesn't work either.
I agree with you, but I don't know what it is because it's almost like. You know how we've become kind of like a coddled nation where people they talk about like the millennial generation, which I'm in and you're in as well, which is weird. I never thought of myself as a millennial before. I didn't even know I was a millennial until a handful of years ago. What year were you born?
No, 81.
No, you're a millennial. Just FYI to you, you are a millennial.
I looked this up the next we were talking about it. And I swear
we were talking about it during the Survivor, like a millennial. Versus Gen Xers or whatever. We're millennials, which is crazy to me, but we are millennials. But they talk about the millennial generation and how they always need at work they need to be praised. Like people don't do work anymore unless they get praised because they feel like if you don't see what I'm doing, like it's obviously not a good thing. And I almost feel like the new philosophy around all the child stuff is just, talking to them very calmly about what they did and somehow that's going to be the thing. It's like you can't have harshness anymore. And I think it is part of this coddled society we've become.
Apparently, it's debatable if 81 is Gen X or millennial. Are you also 81?
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, it could go depending on who you.
I've seen it go all the way back to 79 for millennial.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how a generation has a different time frame that people put on it, but
yeah, this one I'm looking at. The silent generation was 28 to 48. Baby boomers is 46 to 64. Gen X is 65 to 81. Millennials is 82 to 96. And post millennials is 97 on.
They just call them post millennials?
Yeah, that's what it's calling them. But then it says here, some people consider Gen X to end in 80. So I don't know. I guess it's okay. Okay. I mean, I don't really care what you can call me whatever. Like this is one of to me, that sort of thing, like I understand that it's not the same as like an astrology sign. So I'm not trying to say that it is, but at the same time, I don't put a lot of weight on it because I do think that I can understand that the time frame the United States was in, that people are going to be very similar in how they saw the world. But also, it's how you're raised and stuff. So I don't, and like where you grew up.
Well,
like, people that are.
And they talk about actually our not generation, but our mini generation as being that late Gen Xers and early millennials, like that gap right there. They almost put into their own category sometimes because we're people who grew up without computers in the everyday life, but they became in the everyday life early in our lives, so we've learned to function in both of those worlds, whereas before us you kind of have the early Gen Xers, and before that are people who are not technology based, quote unquote, and the people after are completely technology based, whereas we're this weird generation that was in the middle of that. So they've put in some different category I've seen before that they call our generation, basically because we're better than everybody, you know. We know how to do it.
I remember how wild it was to people that I had a computer when I was young, because my dad always had a Commodore and stuff like that, and no one else I knew had a computer. But then I was also one of the last people I know to get internet. Like, everyone else had internet, but I didn't have internet. So it was like this weird thing where early in my life I had a computer. And I do remember my dad doing the BBS servers and stuff with dial up on the Commodore.
That's really interesting, because I was like that too. My uncle worked for IBM, and he actually bought us a computer for Christmas. So when I was like 3, so as I was 3, we had an IBM PC Junior. And I learned to read because of computer games, because I wanted my parents to read me these text adventure games, and eventually they said, no, you have to read on your own to play this game. But yeah, we didn't get internet until super late in life, into the internet age either.
Like, everyone I knew had an AOL, and we just couldn't afford this thing that cost by the minute. So I didn't have internet until it was like 56K modems were out. Like, I never had like dial up whenever they were 14.4 or any of that. My first internet experience was with the 56K modem.
I do remember we got Prodigy for a trial for a little bit, and now the Prodigy wasn't true internet. I don't remember what it was. Almost like its own bulletin board system.
It was like it's kind of like AOL in a way, wasn't it?
Yeah, except there was no, like, you didn't go to a web browser and go to, like, well, Google didn't exist, but you didn't go to like websites. I remember sending an email to somebody else who was on Prodigy. I found out a guy in my school also had it, because you could, like, you used to be able to look at like all the names of everybody who was online. And I remember sending him an email, quote unquote email, and it was like it cost 25 cents to send the email, but I just thought it was cool to do.
Right.
But then we still quit Prodigy because the free trial that you could send emails for 25 cents a piece was over, and we didn't get AOL until, I'm trying to think if I was like a sophomore or a junior in high school.
Yeah, I never had AOL because it was just too expensive. It's one of those things where you can't pay by the minute. I remember visiting my uncle, and he had AOL, and I just sat in a chat room for like 8 hours one night. It was just it was the wildest damn thing in the world.
Oh God, it used to be so fun to sit in random chat rooms and talk to random people. It was, I don't know why. I think it was maybe before there was, predators. It's not really before there was predators. You just didn't know that there were predators.
Right.
And it was just, wow, you lived this life in your little town, and that was it. And then all of a sudden you were just exposed to the world, and it was amazing. And now it's like, whatever.
Yeah. Now everyone's got the internet in their pocket because their phone has it. Yeah, completely different. Yeah. Well, anyways, we've rambled about how old we are for 40 minutes now, so we need to get out of here.
You damn kids and your newfangled technology.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right, see ya.